Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. And today I'm going to talk to you about building your hair regimen. And if you don't listen to anything else I ever tell you, please listen to this. You have to build your regimen and stick to it. And that's because of two things. One is because regardless of what hair type you have, it's going to grow and flourish and your edges are going to come back. It's going to happen if you take the steps necessary and stick to that process. And the other reason is because as the natural hair movement grows, there's a lot more products coming out, and that's amazing because a lot of those brands are owned by African Black women, which is great. But at the same time, if you just buy and try out every single product that's out there, you're gonna end up bald and bankrupt. We don't want either one of those. So when you figure out what makes your hair happy, just stay in your lane, respect the process, accept that it might take a little bit of time, but it's gonna work. So like I said, every woman is different, every head of hair is different, so your regimen is not gonna look exactly like anyone else's. And next week I'm gonna show you my whole regimen from start to finish. But today I just wanna talk to you, especially the girls that are starting out, a little bit about what yours might look like. And the first thing I do is detangle, which is getting rid of those 1 strand and 2 strand knots, because as your hair knots up and gets all tangled, the easier it is for it to break. Or if you don't detangle often enough, you might just have to cut off those parts of your hair just because, and we don't want that because we want length. Cleansing is all about your scalp because that's where your hair grows out of. And as you add more product, it builds up in your scalp. So periodically you have to go in with product and just wash it right off to give it the space that your hair needs to just grow beautifully. And moisturizing, like I said, there's the light moisturizing where you go in either once a week, once every few days, or once a day. You add water to your hair and then some product to seal it in there. This is very important, especially for black hair, because most of our hairs, I've talked about this in one of my previous videos, but most of our hairs have a difficulty holding water. So you have to make sure that you're going in there, adding more, and adding an oil or a cream, or maybe the LOC Method. If you want to look at mine, I'll leave the video in the description. But you're going in with water and then a product on top of that to seal that moisture in there. Your hair needs moisture in order to stay alive, otherwise it will just break off. If it's too dry, it will break off. And then there's the deep treatments, and I'm going to talk about in particular about deep conditioning and then the protein treatment. You have to keep the right balance of elasticity, moisture, being able to run your fingers through your hair, and protein. Your hair needs protein to grow. That's what it's made out of. And if it's too elastic, if you're constantly moisturizing, it might lose its strength and break off because it's too slippery. I don't know if you can relate to any of this, if it's ever happened where you feel like your hair is almost limp because it's so moisturized. And going in with a protein treatment adds some of that strength and helps your hair to just survive a little longer. And like I said, the deep conditioning is all about putting in a deep treatment that's really going to go into your hair cuticles and give it that moisture that it needs. I've been moisturizing pretty consistently for the past 2 years, well, almost 2 years. That's how long I've been growing my hair for. And I've realized that it's changed like how my hair looks. The coils are more defined. It just looks healthier. So what I'm trying to say is that doing these things over a long period of time will actually make your hair look more beautiful. The coils are going to show up, or curls are going to show up a little bit better, and it just helps to give it that life that it needs. So like I said, your hair regimen is all about that long-term view, and sometimes we forget that this is a personal journey and it's about you. So really taking that time with your hair, like for example, if you try a deep conditioning recipe, which I have one, and I'll put it in my description as well, and that one doesn't work for your hair, then don't do it. You know what I mean? Just do something else. But when you do find what works for your hair and what works for you as a person, stick to it. You know what I mean? Because that's you, that's your hair, and no one can tell you about you better than you can. So yeah, I hope this wasn't too much talking, and I'm sorry if you don't like the lecture-y kind of videos. If you prefer the visual ones, there's one coming next week. Make sure you take your agency and work with it. You know what I mean? Like, just take your journey and run it, you know? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.